We have a great episode for you today. Buddy Lee and I sit down with the bad man, Bubba Jenkins, and we talk to him about his journey from Cox High School in Virginia, where he was a state champion, to getting a scholarship to Penn State, transferring to Arizona State, where he pinned David Taylor in the NCAA finals, to being one of the top MMA fighters in the world, to building an MMA academy in Ghana with the King, to many other things. This is a great episode today, and I hope you enjoy hearing about Bubba's journey to a state title. Backpoints is sponsored by Buddy Lee Jump Ropes, the best jump ropes in the world. So go out and get yourself a jump rope. Use the discount code BACKPOINTS20 for 20% off your order. Now let's go get into this episode with Bubba Jenkins.
He taught me to get up when I didn't want to get up, when I wanted to quit.
I had high goals, man. I've always had high goals.
And so when I won it, I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, you guys are right.
It's not the thrill of winning. It's the joy of having that personal goal and being able to achieve that and walk off the mat with your head held high and with your hand up.
That just fueled my fire. And I was in every state championship match from there on until I graduated.
That was when I really started doing the kind of wrestling that I was capable of.
Anybody that steps in the ring and just decides to commit the entire time is a state champion in my book.
It's an absolute moment for me because, you know, the way I met you is how people kind of meet me now. You know, I just kind of come in, do my thing. People love and adore me, and you know, shake hands, tattoo babies, do all that kind of good stuff. And you know, when I was in young, you came in, you did your thing, and then it kind of just gave me a little spark. You were an inspiration to me at a very young age. So man, for it to be full circle, and me to be on the show is pretty cool.
So nice to hear, brother. Thank you very much for sharing it.
Welcome back to Backpoints, the podcast where top wrestlers reveal their secrets. We're here today with Bubba Jenkins, MMA fighter, junior world champion, winner of one of the most amazing NCAA finals matches of all time. Before that, state champion for Cox High School. I'm here again with my friend and co-host Buddy Lee, Olympian, jump rope entrepreneur, maker of the best jump rope in the world. We're here to talk about Bubba Jenkins' journey to a state championship. Thanks so much for joining us, Bubba.
Oh, man. Thank you guys for having me. As we were saying earlier.
Pleasure having you, man.
As I was saying earlier, man, I was so excited to, you know, have Buddy Lee slide into the message board on my social media and say, hey, man, you know, I want to get a podcast interview with you. I just want to get some work with you, something, man. And it was like, man, that's such an amazing thing, because when I was really, really young, I was telling him I met him when I was in middle school, and he inspired me. So for it to come full circle and me do enough to still be on the radar is pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Well, I just want to say, hey, it's just really, I'm just so proud of you. And, you know, I can't remember you as a grasshopper, but it's just so nice to hear these amazing stories of the grasshoppers becoming.
There was probably 100 kids around us at the time, you know, everyone trying to jump rope with you, sign an autograph, you know, take a picture or something. So, yeah, I mean, you were the man in that time. You're still the man now, but you're the man in that time so much that of course, I know you didn't remember me then. So, you know, I'm going to make a lasting impact now on this interview and make sure that we become friends like we were supposed to then.
I know who you are, brother, because let me tell you something. It's just amazing story, and I'm just, like you say, I'm so proud of you because your background is similar to mine. I was raised by my mother. I was one of 6 kids, and just to see how your mother Teresa had such an impact on you and steered you in the right direction, man. If we didn't have our mothers, man, our mothers, where would we be? Man. And just you know, knowing who you are and stuff. So we're just excited, man, just to hear about how you found everything inside yourself to become great when it really mattered, when the rest of the world was watching. And so I'm going to let Will start off with his question, because I'm just excited for the community to hear more about you and just what you're doing now, these great things you're doing right now as a MMA superstar. Will?
So how did you get started in wrestling? Were you already wrestling when you met Buddy years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. When I met Buddy, I had been, you know, on the middle school programs here in Virginia, Virginia Beach area. But when my father died when I was 9, and I was, you know, going. I was full-fledged in the lead on my way to being a statistic, being a young, angry black kid in America, trying to, figure his way out with no father in a sense. And, my mom, saw that path. We have a very big family. So my mom was one of 11, or my mom was one of 9. My dad was one of 11. So I have a lot of aunts and uncles to where, I could steer any one of my talents, and, she said, your father wrestled. Let's see if we can, you're angry right now. You've been wrestling everybody in the street. You might as well, get on the mat, see what you can do. And, my first match on my first year, I had 61 matches. I just fell in love with it. And I end up losing my last match in the state finals, getting pinned in the cradle. So that's kind of how the story began. And that's kind of how the story ended, Your
first year, 60 some matches.
My first year, I had
phenom.
We went everywhere. My uncle took me everywhere. We went. My first year wrestling, we started at the Lightweight Boys and Girls Club in Madison, Indiana, with Ray Black and Jeff Jenkins and my uncle, and I wrestled with them in the city. And then after I was doing so well in the city, and it was kind of like an easy thing to me, they started like, oh, we might have something here. So they started taking me to different little counties, and next thing you know, I was entering into the state tournaments and different freestyle, different folk style, and winning everything. And then till the big tournament, which I really wasn't prepared for, but I did well in, and I made my way all the way to the finals, and I got pinned in like 19 seconds. But I went 60-1 my first year.
That's amazing, man. That's just like I don't think it's no such thing as losing. I just think everything's a lesson and an opportunity. As an opportunity to come back 3 times stronger. So it was your introduction to how great you would become. But let me just ask you something. When you first started, did you really think that you would be a wrestler? Did you have your mind set on that you would be probably like some professional boxer or something? Because, that's not really a sport for black kids. We don't really get to see black role models. So tell us about
I guess the lasting impact that my father had on me. My father, when he would be praying, I would be wrapped around his neck. When he would be driving, I would be there. When he would be running, I would be there. I was a daddy's boy. I'm Jesse the third. And if you guys follow me on Instagram or anything like that, you'll see the attachment that I guess my lineage has from the father and the son, because I was really attached to my father as my son is attached to me. And he's being the first son in his lineage, and his brothers and peers, him being if we had a kingdom, my grandfather was the king, then he died, then my father would be the king, and he died, and now I would be the king, with my son being, prince for the heir to the Jenkins family throne. And us having such an impact on my life, what he did mattered. So when they were like, oh, he was a wrestler and he did these things. I also played football, which he didn't do. But once they said that he was a wrestler and I was getting in fights every day, that was okay. Boom. I got a little bit of an understanding of, the path. My father was 5'9". My uncles are like 6'3", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2", So we could have easily been a basketball player if we just got a couple more inches on us. But, I'm 5'7" 1/4", 5'8" right now. And, this is about as much as it's going to go. So when I got into wrestling, realizing that I can literally fit into my own thing, not have to depend on other people. It was a, me versus you sport, not a team sport. That's kind of at that time, with me being young and me being kind of introverted and antisocial because of the loss of my father, it was kind of a home for me. And that's where I ran to, the mat. And that's where I felt, I could release this anger or release, these questions about, who I am or what my father was and things like that. My father died in Africa, in Ghana, and where my bloodline is actually from, through both sides of my family, which is, it turned out to be that way. But, and I'm actually, really good friend with the king in Ghana, in Africa. So what my father did had such an impact on me that it really steered a course of my life that literally is still to this day.
Wow. That's a really powerful story you got.
Always starts with the father.
Yes, sir. It don't fall from the tree.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it, man. I wish I had those kind of moments with my dad. I was just, I'm still just remembered, everything I did was with my mom, but just a great way to salute your father, man. And I'm sure he's looking down and he's so proud of you,
Man, and I'm just so happy that the people that came into my life after my father left nurtured what he started. And I had the people that inspired me. I had the people, the mentors. And I'm from Virginia, where we have the athletes that you can really have your own kind of swag about your own kind of chip on your shoulder. The Allen Iversons, the Michael Vicks. Me and Percy Harvin grew up together, played on all the football leagues together. We were even going to go to Penn State together, but he couldn't do the cold weather, so he went down to Florida. But nonetheless, man, being where I'm from and kind of having the background that I have, it was a good mix to the Lord knew what He's doing and trying to build a warrior for the kingdom. So that's kind of what it portrayed to be.
Awesome, man. Love your faith, man. You went to Cox High School.
Yes,
and who was the coach? Who was the head coach back then?
So it was Jamie Kelly, rest his soul. He recently passed away. Jamie Kelly was the head coach there. And then Corey Williams was the assistant coach when I first got there, but he was my main coach. Corey Williams was the guy that when I was in middle school, would work out with from the high school team, So when I got there and Jamie Kelly went on to go to ODU, they gave Corey Williams the head coaching job. And for the rest of my, sophomore and the rest of my high school career, he was my coach until I got into a little trouble and had to go to First Colonial, where I received my full ride to Penn State. But Corey Williams was the coach there, and he was, people thought that Corey Williams was my father in a sense, because the way he spoke and the way that he, his demeanor was me on the mat. Him and his walking around and his confidence was who I was on the mat. And we, he basically would talk and I would do, and it was a computer system, and we were killing everyone and doing all kinds of things. So, people thought that Corey Williams was my father. I got that question so many times, but he was my guru, I would say, the fixer of my wrestling woes.
And that started in that relationship started in middle school. So you had that continuity all through high school?
Absolutely. Corey was my coach in my last match. Literally in my last wrestling match, not the college match, but I just did an exhibition. It was a late notice exhibition in at Penn State with Jason Nolf. He's a 3-time national champ. He's on the ladder, and they're like, "Hey, you want to squash the beef and come back to Penn State and do a little exhibition match? We'll pay you and whatnot." So it was like, "Yeah, man, it sounds good." But I took Corey Williams with me, who's a wrestling guru, knows all the matches. So it was 3-2 with the score, 1 minute and 19 seconds. He knows all that kind of stuff. So to take him to not only be at the Penn State room and all those things, but to take him to be back in my corner as he was when I was in middle school. I mean, it was, like you said, we started that continuity. We had that fellowship and that relationship that, I called him when I was in college, when I couldn't figure things out, when I couldn't get off the bottom. He was my high school coach that really, really spoke to me about different things. I call him about fighting. He was for sure a really good father figure for me as I grew up, as I was speaking about.
Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Yeah. I guess those high school coaches, like you say, I don't think that, would you think it's fair to say that once you leave high school, you'll never meet a coach as close as your high school coach was to you?
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, they're everything to you. Yeah. I mean, they're the key to, because it's amazing, experience to have someone that's like a father, brother, big brother, mentor, educator, and knows who you are and accepts you for who you are.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing about it too, man, it makes me a little bit nervous that you say that, because that's a resounding statement. I literally just, the COVID-19 shut down our season, but I just got the head coaching job at the high school here in Henderson. I'm in Nevada, in Vegas, and I got the head coaching job.
Congratulations!
Appreciate it. So
congratulations!
They were returning state
put
champions.
Money on the table.
Yeah, they were returning state champions, and with the season being shut down, and I'm building a wrestling club to go along with it. But I'm pretty excited about taking these young group of men and inspiring them in the way that I was inspired. Like you said, the way my high school coach, really had so much to do with who I am today. It really puts a little bit of a weight on my mental and on my, physical shoulders to really think, man, I want to be that to those children for sure, to these boys, to these girls. Now, Vegas is having a big, surge in girls wrestling. So, I won't just be dealing with, the young 18-year-old or 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy who's, trying to find his way in high school and the world and on the wrestling mat. But, the sport has evolved so much now where I'll be dealing with young females, and, to try to be the inspiration that my coach was to me is definitely starting to build on me. But I'm up to the task, man, and I'm excited about, what we're going to do and what the mentorship program will look like and everything, man. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Sounds familiar, huh? From transition from athlete to coach. There's no greater feeling. It's no greater feeling.
I'm still fighting, man. We got the fight April 23rd. I'm sorry. We fighting. I got to stay. I got to stay in the killer mode. I'm showing these kids the moves, but I'm also showing them by leading by example, man. I'm doing my everyday Uriah Faber, I guess, because I own my gym. I own my fight gym. I'm a co-owner with the head coach. Me and Dewey are co-coaches with the fight gym that we have. So, I basically own the team that I fight for and with, and, with the team that I own, the gym that I own, I just put my wrestling club in it. And being that I just got the high school program, I just trickled my clientele from the high school program into my wrestling program that is built under my gym. So, I'm just trying to blend it all together while still fighting April 23rd, ESPN2 for the $1 million tournament.
April 23rd.
Man. April 23rd, and where can we see it?
It's going to be on ESPN2.
ESPN2.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you sound like from athlete to businessman, serious businessman. I like that.
Oh yeah. I'm all in the business, my man. I got children to feed. I got a 2-year-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, a 6-year-old son, and a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. And I'm grinding to leave what David left for Solomon. So I'm trying to do these things.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is that Buddy and I'll talk about how when he was a wrestler, he was always thinking about beyond wrestling. He was thinking about what was he going to do to build, his career and build his, his empire after wrestling. Because, wrestling is one kind of, small part of life.
Yeah.
How did you think about that? Like, did you think about
it's definitely the Lord showed me a kind of a vision, and he showed me that I was building a stage. I was going to obviously have an audience. I was a fly on the wall, and I was basically in an auditorium. If you can really think about this vision of being like in a high school auditorium where the chairs are on the right and the stage is on the left, and the stage that I was standing on were all my talents, my ability to speak, my ability to be aware, my ability to discern, my ability to wrestle, my ability to adapt, the things that I find as, good qualities in myself, and my athletic ability, my ability to just have this understanding of things. He showed me this type of, I guess, stage that I kind of built of my talents. And on that stage, there was a white light and a pole. It was just kind of like a little, like someone was about to come sing or someone was about to come talk. And the audience was kind of walking around, and they weren't ordered yet. They basically were waiting. And then the gate, the blinds opened up, and then I kind of walked out on stage, but I really couldn't see that it was me, but I was just in full knowledge that it was me. And it was basically, I was building a stage to create an audience that was eventually going to sit down and be aware of that I was coming to show them things, that I was coming to basically give them my talents and build this audience and build this stage that I'm on. And so with that, I had an understanding that just wrestling was one piece of that stage that I was on. It was not the entirety of the stage. It was not, the stage that I was on was a big stage built of many talents. And so that when I know that it was a platform to
show people other things, to use the mic that I had, that I was given with my talents. It was showing me that, okay, let me use this part of it to get to the next place. And I'm building in Africa, as I was saying, with the king in Ghana, Honorable Tagbia Fetty, and me being in the fight game, and me being, in a sense, my own agent, and having many contracts that I've seen, and having, been in many organizations, fought on TV, fought in Bahrain, went out there and dealt with the Prince of Bahrain, and went to the Russian organization, dealt with some of the Russian guys out there, which was, an experience in its own self. I've been around the world, and I've seen a lot of things. So me to have the mantle that I have, to give that away, and show these people these gold nuggets that I found while building the stage, and with all these talents, is something that I definitely have focused on. So my later plan, and for my children, and me being a coach in the game already coaching UFC fighters, already having had UFC offers and things like that, I'm understanding of the bag that I carry, and I'm not stumbling or fumbling. I'm clear of the vision, and I understand which way I'm headed. I just got to make sure that the people that are coming along with me are understanding of the lives that are to be affected by this, because I'm truly trying to touch as many people as I can.
Nice story.
Yeah,
amazing. Well, go ahead, Will, please.
I was just going to say, when you were going all the way back to high school, did you feel then that you were guided by that kind of a clear purpose, clear vision? Does it go all the way back that far?
No, I would say it developed. I would say as I became into a man, as I was a child, I thought I was a child. I did childish things, but as I became a man, I put away those childish things. I developed in analyzing the things that I've been through in life. As I sat down eventually to analyze who I was, there are many things that, even though I have this confidence and this authority, there are many things that humbled me. There are many things that set me back and made me think and analyze and readjust. It was by no means a smooth path to this enlightenment place. I had to get it out the mud in so many different areas, and getting that, you have to know self. I was telling someone earlier, a lot of people mix up their understanding and the idea of the way to get to wealth. If you really understand who self is, you find an easier way to wealth, because then you don't work for those things. You just become passionate about the things that literally feed you, in a sense. So it didn't go back that far. I had to analyze what I've been through, where I was, who talked to me, who met me, who hurt me, who inspired me. I had to think about all those things, and then the Lord came in and put the cap on it, and he gave me direction. And that's all I can, seek him first, the kingdom, and all the rest will be added.
Well, that sounds like a very familiar story. Great, to have the faith, man. I know you sound like a man of faith, and if I don't see how anybody can get through this life without having faith.
They gotta have something to hold on to, man. It's wild out there, and it's getting worse. So they gotta have something to hold on to, man. And if you don't have that intangible, you can lose yourself. Even us believers, we can lose ourselves. It's hard out here. And,
that's right.
It's the way it is.
Well, let's go back down memory lane, so we can just talk about your greatness from high school, what you did in high school. You were a 2-time state champion at Cox?
No, sir. I was my freshman year, I lost to the nation's #1 recruit in Brandon Hardy from Western Branch. I lost to him in the finals, got pinned. And then my sophomore year, I won the state tournament in grand fashion, and then I was the #1 recruit in the country. I was the #1 145 pounder in the country. I was as a sophomore becoming on the stage and just lighting people up and starting to go undefeated. My junior year, undefeated, having tech fault almost everyone. There was a bomb threat at the regional tournament. And with that bomb threat, and I won't make the excuse, I missed weight by 0.1 of a pound. The timing of when I was supposed to arrive and when we were supposed to work out, and all of us having to be in the bus and having to not be able to have that time before weigh-ins because of the bomb threat and things like that. And me being a young kid at that time, was just.
So you missed weight.
Missed
my
weight
God.
at the regional tournament at .1, having not lost all year. I tech followed the guy that actually won states that year from Great Bridge. So that was my junior year. I wasn't in the state tournament. And my senior year, right before the state tournament, I was expelled from high school. Or I was suspended, where they tried to expel me, and then I had to, go to about 8 or 9 petitions, where I went to First Colonial down the street from Cox, and then won the senior national tournament and got my full ride to Penn State.
Oh my gosh, what an animal. An animal thrown off course, and it's like everybody's praying that this guy doesn't make weight, that something happened to him, and when he finally gets things going the right way, it's like this is what happens. And then you get this full ride to Penn State, and I guess who was there? Kale Sanderson?
Kale was not there yet. We had Troy Sunderland. Matt Dernland recruited me. He actually came to national duels, the same place, not national duels, but Virginia duels, the same place I actually met you at. Not at the same time, but the same place. And he came and he recruited me right off the mat. He said, I want you to get a full ride to Penn State. You said you want to do these things, and I'm here to offer you a full. And at this time, I was being recruited by everyone in the country, everybody. But
wow.
With my little legal situation, it was good to try to get into a home quick before, things start getting fuzzy. But I was back.
Well, you're just a kid, man. That's it, man.
Absolutely.
We get off track. But you kid, man. That's why we deserve second chance. But you was a good kid, and man, your mom made sure that you were a good kid.
It was, man, and I still speak. If you guys go back and hear those stories about the things that happened to me, man, we got to have a whole part 2 of this interview. But at that time, me being a young African American kid, and in the area that I was in, dominating in a sport that wasn't mine, with against pigments that didn't match mine, with an attitude that didn't match theirs. It didn't say much for how they were trying to help me when they were, seeing me in a situation that, didn't quite deserve the attention that it got, but me being the number one recruit in the country, the number one 145 pounder, haven't lost in 2 or 3 years, and having won all the national tournaments at that point, they really wanted, the story. So they got the story, and we had to rebound from it. And we went off to Penn State, where we were national finalists. We graduated and went off to Arizona State, where we became the national champion, and pinning the Penn State kid, and having a literal book about my life be played out in front of the public's eye of people who followed me from a long time ago.
Man, I heard from you. I heard about you when I was talking to Frank Harris. Frank Harris from TC Williams?
Yes, sir.
He was telling me, oh, man, I said, man, I'm trying to find some African Americans to get on this podcast. Oh, man, you got to do Bubba Jenkins. Bubba Jenkins, isn't that a football player? No, Bubba Jenkins. And then he started telling me the story. I say, man, I wish I was around coaching when you were wrestling in high school. And, I kind of regret not being a coach in high school, and having the opportunity to work with kids like yourself and steer you in the right direction. Because I think a lot of times it's really about coaches not really understanding what we have to go through. Being, kids of color, and especially in the South. So how it goes.
Absolutely.
And you can go ahead and say racism, because it's the truth. I mean, that stuff it happens to many of us in the sport. And you have to be able to just call it out, and call it out like it is. It's okay.
If you look at the facts of my case, it is night and day. A blatant disregard for justice in my plea for help. It was really a bad scene that, try to inspire. But, when I'm being led and the Lord's setting up the chessboard, really, I just keep moving the pieces, and they just keep falling into place. And it was something that taught me. It was something that humbled me. It was something that, prepared me for the life that I am living now. Because that situation was, one thing that obviously made me stronger, that could have for surely ended something that was, going to be, what we projected to be a wonderful college career, which it ended up being. But that could have put a real halt in it. And when Kale Sanderson came to Penn State, it wasn't like the expulsion that I experienced in high school, but the resetting of the mind that had to take place in a program that you already were dominating in, and already having felt, a home in, to have to reset and still go to another place and win nationals. It was almost like I seen this movie before, and I know the characters, and I know how to get it done.
Wow. So
It's
what you went
amazing.
through, sorry, go on, buddy.
No, just amazing story. Please, Will.
Yeah, it is. So what you went through in high school, where you had to go through that expulsion or that suspension, really, and the trauma that was, it prepared you for when you had to deal with it again. I mean, in a different way, but you had to deal with leaving that program at Penn State your junior year and still come back to win a title. So that really prepared you for that.
It really does, man. And it happens for whatever reason. It happens like a cycle. I was at Bellator, fought for Bellator on Spike TV, 10 fights. I was 8-1, 8-2. Like, I was doing my thing with them. And they wanted me to play a character, and I'm too real to play a character. My character is me. I am the Batman. I don't need to play a character.
Yourself,
right. I don't need, I'm genuine. I don't need to have these, call outs and this bravado. This was the time of, the Conor McGregor type of thing. And they knew that I have a mouthpiece. So they wanted me to kind of portray this arrogant hoodlum, in a sense, ghetto character from the South. And it was just like, man, that ain't me. I'm too educated, too smart to play, that role. And, I dance in my own shoes. I told Kel Sanderson to kick rocks. I won't allow you to allow me to be someone I'm not. So as they were trying to do that, I asked them for my release, being in the great contract, and I left that organization, went to deal with the Prince and Bahrain, and won a world title out there, where every time I buy into myself and push the chips to the middle of the table and I say, me versus you, I feel like I'm right in this situation. Every time the Lord validates me, and I turn out to be a better situation.
It's nothing like knowing yourself, man, knowing who you are when you're dealing with adversity. And I, man, I can relate to you because, we can all relate, because it's a struggle. But I just, my hat's off to you. And I'm just want to say I'm still very proud of you just for persevering, not giving up hope, because you can't get out of this life without having, some type of hiccups or, struggles or misunderstandings. But it's really how you get off your back and keep fighting. And that's what you've proven to be, man, an amazing fighter, a champion in life. I just think you're untapped. I think you're just scratching the surface of how amazing your life is going to be. And all these experiences that happen to you, they had to happen so that you can find your greatness. Yeah, and so, at 34 years of age, Bubba, when I think about 34, I was making Olympic team when you was being born in 1988. Wow. And I had some controversial stuff happen to me for the 88 Olympic trials. I had won the Olympic trials, and then I was sitting up on number one and waiting for the to see who I would have to compete against. But it was some stuff that happened there. But and it was at age 34, and you're turning 34, and with all these amazing experiences, how old are you now?
I'm on my Jesus year. Just 2 weeks ago, I just turned 33. So this is my season. I just turned 33. Yeah, you're gonna put a year on me.
But, man, 33. Well, hey, young. Will, I got these young kids. Will told me 34, but you know what? That's even more scary. 33. You got just your own business.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
So we got that, and now you're in the MMA fighting arena. And tell us about your transition from college, and then and going into this MMA and what's going on there with the I guess the organization you're with.
Yeah, so I transitioned very well. I was the number one prospect. If MMA had a draft, I was the number one draft pick in 2011. I was in all the magazines as the number one touted prospect to come out of wrestling. At that time, they were starting to go around to all different kinds of combat arenas to start to find the next MMA, star in a sense. And, I got recruited basically by ATT, one of the top programs in all of the world. Down there with Dan Lambert, and at the time it was Ricardo Laborio who gave me a call, and he was like, hey man, I heard so much about you. You just won the national championship. We have a great program down here. We just got Steve Mako. We got this, we got that. Why don't you come down and check it out? And at this time in my career, I had not stopped since I started, being number one recruit, being the national champion, being junior world champion. These are summertimes, wintertime, summertime, spring, fall. Like, this is nonstop going. So as as a national champion, graduate from just Arizona State, got my degree, sent it to me in the mail. Appreciate you, Arizona State. Thank you. Send me my ring, send me my championship trophy, all those good things. And now I'm being recruited by a billionaire and Dan Lambert to come fight down in Miami. So it was, it wasn't really a bad, shift in what I was doing. No kids, no girlfriend, and a young superstar mind, so, I went down there and really learned a lot about, the fight game and the people and, just becoming a man. At this point, I was institutionalized from being in all kinds of programs and being in, having to be somewhere and having to be at times and having to get the grade and having to, from that to like, hey, we're going to pay you to just show up and work out. But so like, what time do I gotta like be here? Where I gotta check in at? No, we're gonna get you a place. We're gonna pay the place, and you're just gonna work out, and then we're gonna find you an agent, and then you're gonna fight. And it was like, I think I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And so, getting into that, it was like, okay, but, the focus, me being so young at the time, mature in college, of course, but young in like, as a man, I'm 23 years old, and my bills are being paid and I'm down in Miami learning how to fight. It was, the focus of trying to be the champion wasn't there as it is now, as I'm, now 10 years later and been in the game and have children and whatnot. So the focus then was, just try to figure out the game. And the transition was, in the beginning, from not wanting to get hit and not wanting to get kicked to, having the jiu-jitsu really crush the wrestling powers, it was trying to figure out a lot. And those loopholes and those lumps carried me through to becoming that contender, that challenger, to eventually becoming a world champion. And the transition now to knowing what I'm doing and to knowing how I'm doing it and knowing when the empty flows are and the, empty moments in the voids, to see those things and to feel the sport like I feel it now. It brings me back to my high school days of really being in control of the wrestling mat and marking the spot on the mat where I want to pin them and things like that. So it's the transition to MMA is beautiful. I'm fighting in the $1 Million tournament. It fights on ESPN2. We fight 4 times this year. It's a tournament. It's like a playoff. We have the first fight is a seeding fight. The second fight is a tournament fight. The third fight is the semifinals, and then we fight from Madison Square Garden. If it's not in Vegas this year because of the COVID, we fight Madison Square Garden for the $1 Million tournament. So I got a great contract. The champion, the 2-time champion, is someone that I've beaten 5 or 6 times in college. He was a college rival of mine, and Lance Palmer, being a guy that went to Ohio State, and me being at Penn State. We saw each other many times. We were actually friends, and now they put $1 million on his head, and I'm gonna go get that.
No more friends, huh?
No more friends. I like this guy, but I love my children, and all he's got is dogs. He's got his dogs. I got real kids. I got real bills. Like, come bring me that money. I used to beat him for a cheeseburger. I definitely gonna do it now.
That's the motivation.
I can't wait to watch.
I'm trying to hog the show from Will. Go ahead, Will.
No, this is great. I love hearing.
I've seen this boy since he was a kid. You
guys got catching up to do.
Yeah.
I actually want to go back to your wrestling career for a minute. Did you ever, because you went through some tough times in college at least once, and then in high school, obviously. Did you ever feel like quitting? You ever feel like walking away?
No, because the edge of people saying I couldn't. Man, the drive to prove people wrong drove me for a long time. That's not my drive now, of course. But the chip on my shoulder to say that I can't was a big liquid in my gas tank to push me up those hills of depression in my sports arena. Not depression in me, but depression in what I felt was my career, areas of lulls, of places where I got hurt or wasn't in the right focus. My first, I didn't lose. I lost 9 matches in all of middle school and high school. And I lost my first 5 matches when I got into college. so, that was a whole, what is going on? This whole life of mine is a lie kind of thing. What have they been teaching me? It was a wake-up call. And it wasn't that I just got beat. I was a true freshman wrestling up a weight class at 157, weighing 155 pounds with my clothes on, wrestling in the Big Ten, wrestling the number one wrestler in the country, the number 3 wrestler. My first match in college was versus the number 1 wrestler in the country in Illinois, and Mike Poeta. And I lost 5-2, but a loss was a loss to me. So I'm like, oh, okay, number 1 guy in the country. I don't care if he outweighs me. I lost, and I'm taking it hard. The very next day, we take a flight from Illinois, from Pennsylvania, wrestling Illinois. We take a flight to Minnesota, and I wrestle the big Schlater. Then I wrestle the eventual national finalist Craig Henning. Then I wrestle the eventual national finalist Torella from Michigan. So my first 5 matches were against Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, and I had no clue where I was in life as far as like trying to. It was a killer's role for my mindset, for my career, and I had to keep getting up and keep getting up. Most people from my area kind of know that understanding of people saying you can't or you won't, or man, that ain't a good idea, or that dream sounds crazy, or man, that don't even make sense, and just really having that feeling of, man, let me show you. I'll just give me, just keep watching. I'm gonna show you, and that's really what kept driving me, because I had accomplished so much in wrestling, and I was doing so well in fighting. Once I got to a place of oppression in my fighting career, in a sense, with the Bellator thing and, trying to figure some things out, I did have probably one day of like, let me just go ahead and master the game of, being the agent / coach / this, that, and the third, and put my athletic talents, on the couch right now. But I was way too fast. I'm still way too fast. I'm way too strong, way too smart, way too like I said, I'm just getting started, so I couldn't. It was maybe a 23-hour period where I was just like, how do I shift? How do I make that climb? So the moment that I thought of like, okay, maybe I should hang it up, it was like it didn't sit well. I literally didn't even sleep on it. So to go back to your question, it lasted for a small season, and it didn't do much. we back, baby.
you experienced it, yeah. Well, let me ask you a question regarding there's other Bubba Jenkins out there with the same kind of personality, same type of struggles, same type of amazing relationship with the father, and maybe they've lost their father or mother and stuff like that. What kind of message do you have for that kid that's something like you, or just any kid?
Man, it's a cold world out there, man. It's a really it's a lonely place. So you have to really understand who you are. You have to really dig deep inside of the things that you've been through. Like I said earlier, the hurts that you've been through, the people that inspired you. You got to know you. You got to know self. You got to believe in self. You got to see visions that nobody else sees for you. You got to dream dreams that no one else is going to wake you up from. You got to really go after things that no one else has talked to you about. There has to be some kind of self-awareness of who you are to go to the place you feel you need to be. There are women who have this ideal man. There are men who have this ideal woman. If you cannot match that ideal, if you don't know who yourself is, you cannot match the ideal of who you think that person should be for you. I take that in that same kind of marriage with destiny. I know what I want my destiny woman to look like. I know what I want that calling to look like. So I know what man I have to be in order to match that destiny. The highest seat only holds one, but heavy is the head that wears the crown. So we have to understand, you got to know yourself. It's a lonely, lonely place in this world. And once you start understanding self, then you understand the Father who built you, who built self, and he'll lead you in which way you need to go. But when you don't have nobody else, when there are people who are doubting you, family members, brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, there are people who don't mean to doubt you or mean to, reflect their disappointments on you. But there are times where you really have to just shun it all out and go deep into a place where only you know exists, and only you know what's in there, because only you can pull it out.
It's inspiring.
Nice. Well said.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question again. In a few words, the amazing Bubba Jenkins. How would you describe yourself as a wrestler? If I had to look back and say, how do you want to be remembered as a wrestler? Because you're not a wrestler anymore. Now you're an MMA fighter. But I want you to describe yourself in a few words as a wrestler, and then how you describe yourself as an amazing MMA fighter.
I would say that I was electrifying. They call me the Super Duck King. You know, the Super Duck is a move that, you know, it's a simple little duck under, but they call me the king of it. Yeah, they call me the king of it. What do you mean? I was doing a duck under, man. You mean you was a duck under king? I know. That's you must have took my place. I know you guys, and a lot of the gentlemen that have wrestled before me that were electrifying as well. They would say, "What you talking about, a duck? We were doing super ducks and things like that before you was even born." I know it. But right now, the generation that is that is before us is now calling me the king of the super duck.
Okay, that's put my head down. Okay, I bow to
it was because of when I did it, where I did it, who I did it to. You know, it didn't matter the match, it didn't matter the time, the season, if you were a national champ or not. You know, I hit this electrifying move on you, and you really couldn't stop it. There's sometimes that, you know, I probably shouldn't have hit it on the edge, or I probably shouldn't have hit it with this guy, and it didn't matter to me. So, you know, that I was electrifying and I was daring. I wasn't scared of nothing. You could see the match that I won in the national finals, you know, is a suicide cradle, and more people are starting to do suicide cradles now. But I want to say I inspired people to start risking going to your back and committing to it, because that's basically what I did on the biggest stage. It was like, me or you, let's go. Who got the biggest gun? And we went onto our back, and I came out and stuck them.
That's awesome, man. Duck under. Yeah, I love that, because that was my bread and butter as a Greco-Roman guy. So that's nice to hear. Nice. So electrifying duck under. Okay. So, Mr. Wrestler, and congratulations to amazing wrestling career, state champion, 2-time state champion, junior world champion, NCAA champion, defeating the guy that took his, I guess in Penn State, they didn't want you to wrestle him, or you beat him, right? You beat him out. Who guy?
David Taylor. He's Olympic champ, Olympic world champion, Olympic ladder guy. He's the man in wrestling right now. I stuck David early.
Right. Can you imagine if you continue your wrestling career after college? Well, it'd be kind of scary.
I beat Burroughs. I beat all those guys. I beat Burroughs. All the guys that are on the ladder right now that are doing their thing. That's my years of competition. Those were the guys that I was beating when I was there. And the only reason, man, the only reason why I went into mixed martial arts is because the wrestling community didn't really appreciate my style of personality. You know, they wanted us to be a little bit more quiet. They wanted us to be a little bit more humble, and they wanted us to take a small check for it, and maybe not even a check at all, just go live at the dorms in Colorado and maybe get a gold medal out of it. And I'm not about that. I'm about so much more than that. I'm not going to live like I didn't live in the dorms when I was in college, so I'm not going to live in the dorms as a grown-ass man with talents out this world. So, you know, I decided to hang up the wrestling glove. Gotta entrepreneur, man. We gotta find another course. I gotta do something with this.
Well, not only that, I was in the Marine Corps. They wanted me to stay in the barracks. I said, no, I ain't staying in the barracks.
No way. I'm grown. I'm not doing that. Man in the barracks. I need a place to be creative. I need a place that inspires me, man. That there's a whole thing to be said about the visions you can see.
Well, how about as an MMA fighter? How would we describe the amazing Bubba Jenkins? What kind of MMA fighter are you?
I'm a war priest. Just simple as that. I'm a war priest. I come for the battle. I stand on my biblical understanding. I stand on my Bible. I'm led by my King. He is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, if that wasn't obvious. But I go in here to each fight. I go into each fight knowing that I'm fighting for a cause against principalities, fighting for a purpose. I'm leading people. And I heard somebody, say, "Oh, who would tell someone that Jesus wouldn't tell you to go into fighting? So you're telling me Jesus is telling you to fighting?" I'm telling you right now, some people are called for this. Some people are called for many, many different things. And just because you're a pinky don't mean you're not a part of the hand. When you're acting like a thumb, or when there are other people being an index, or there are other people acting like middle fingers, we're all part of this hand. And I'm just a different area. I might be the thumb that brings that pressure. I might be the middle finger that turns you away sometimes. But every now and then I'm going to be who I need to be in Christ. And he's he's who leads me. I'm not a soldier. I'm not led by a colonel or something. I'm a warrior. I go my own way, and only one person leads me. And in that, I'm here for all the war and all the smoke that the guys in the MMA world want to bring me. If they say anything against my king, it's a wrap. They say anything against my family, it's a wrap. They say anything against who I've been and validated to be as the national champ, it's a wrap. I'm coming after every head coming for me.
You heard that, guys, from Bubba Jenkins. Will, what do you got to say? Any questions?
I love it. I think we've covered just about everything. Bubba, what do you want to talk about? What you got any questions for Buddy Lee about how to train, how to come out on top?
Yeah, I would be remiss to not have this opportunity to say, man, we got to do something together.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Before you ask me, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to be rude.
Go ahead.
You met me as a grasshopper, right? You met me as a grasshopper, and you saw me jumping rope, right?
Yes, sir.
So the question is, Bubba Jenkins, have you been jumping rope since you met me?
Yes, yes, I have. Listen, and I ain't going. Don't give me no video. Don't show me. Don't see if I can do the Buddy Lee specials. I'm not that rope jumper. But in this past year, hold on. Here's one of my sons. What's up, buddy? My little man came for a hug. I'm doing an interview right here.
Little man.
This is my little man Dream. So we're actually in our mat room right now. I got mats everywhere, and we just
that's nice.
We got the spot set up for him to be prepared for what he's got coming. But right now, so I'm doing an interview. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if you was jumping rope or jumping with the Buddy Lee jump rope.
Yes, I see it, and that's where I was going. I'm glad great minds think alike. So this past 2 years, and that since I become champion, I have been jumping rope because I have not been able to run away because my children. So I'll open the garage and I'll sit there and I'll jump rope. But with that being said, I don't have the rope necessary to become Buddy Lee special. So
so
not only do I need everything you have, but I'm building out here, man. I have a whole gym. We just moved to a new spot. I got 10,000 square feet. I have a couple partners, me, Dewey. We're building an MMA facility out here. Not only would we love to have you come out, but we need our whole facility spotted out with the Buddy Lee system, ropes, and everybody who's training with us. We have moms, children, everyone. We got some business that me and you can definitely sit down and talk about with, just partnering and being brothers from the same area, cut from the same tree, cut from the same cloth. I'm excited to just, be a part of what we can do.
Thank you. Well, with all that said, what can I say? I guess, since I met you as a grasshopper and just want to let you know how proud I am of you, and you've done amazing things. I think you're a genius. You are a true warrior. Yes, I think you are. And I think that you're untapped, well-spoken. Mom should be proud. Dad should be proud. Family should be proud. I'm here for you as a mentor. I think that you need a mentor like me and agent. And
absolutely.
And I want to make sure that you continue to stay in the right direction of life. So we're going to basically send some Buddy Lee, Bubba Jenkins jump ropes to keep these kids motivated and jump in the right direction. And we're going to support the gym, send you some jump ropes on behalf of Back Points.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for Back Points. Thank you, Will, for having me out, for reaching out and really, securing this thing, man. I'm so appreciative. And like you said, a mentor, man. I couldn't get off this phone without keeping you as a mentor and saying, man, I saw what you did as a young and as a grasshopper. And, I'm in very similar paths. I'm building in Ghana. I'm building an academy/agency with the King in Ghana. And I'm going to have 100 fighters. I'm bringing 50 of them here, and in 5 years I'll have a couple Francis Ngannous, a couple Israel Adesanyas, there's a couple Usman. So we're building some amazing things in Africa, and I'm building a bridge from the homeland to the land we're in now. And you're somebody who can definitely inspire in multiple regions of this world. So we definitely got to sit down and chop it up how we can partner and really bring the future and the children what we have. We really bring them an inheritance that they can have for themselves.
Remind Remind us what date you're fighting again.
We're going to be having 3 dates. So the 3 dates were in a bubble, just like the NBA had. We're going to be fighting on ESPN2. The first fight, I don't know until this week or later on. I'm going to post it on my Instagram, but later on this week, should be getting my opponent. But April 23rd is the first one. April 29th, the very next week, is the next one. Or May 6th, the very next week, is the next one. I doubt they're going to save the bad man, someone like myself. I doubt they're going to save me for May 6th. So we go ahead and throw that one off the table. They do save the best for last, but people want to see me, and it's a long time coming. So I'm thinking April 23rd is when I'll be fighting, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the month they want to give everybody that grand hurrah and put your boy on the map after they're letting people know that the fighting season has started. So I'm excited. Either way, we're going to crash on somebody in about 11 weeks on ESPN2 at the 145 division. And, I'm not just one of the best in this division. I'm one of the best in the world, and I plan to prove it because everybody knows how well I can talk. But I walk it like I talk it.
Talk, walk the walk. Talk the talk, walk the walk. Well, I tell you what, man, we're proud of you, and we just basically would like to have you back on this show and keep up with you as a Virginia native, and just one of the homeboys, and just support your career. And where can we find you online? Do you have a website or Instagram handle?
Right now, we're building all that. We're putting it all together. We had so many websites and so many things that we've learned to grow along, but now we're getting more focused. But I'm at Bubba_Jenkins on everything. I'm Bubba Jenkins everywhere. I'm not hard to find, and I answer to everyone. I reply to everyone. I'm very down to earth. I still have the same number that I had the day that I met you. So we didn't switch numbers. I just never changed my number, and it's a part of me because I told everyone who's ever met me in middle school back in that time, I'm the same guy. I'm down to earth. I have not changed a little bit, just only in mindset.
Well, you're doing amazing things. This is awesome. This is a great time. We would love to have you back, and we're going to watch you win in April.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And it's my season. My birthday just happened. My Bucks just won the Super Bowl. I'm 33 years old. My gym's opening up, man. It's my season, man. I can't see anything wrong with what's about to happen. So I appreciate you guys for having me. And let's do a part 2 after I get done this W.
Let's do it.
Happy belated birthday, man. And send me something on Instagram and stuff like that, and your address and everything. Get some ropes out, and we're going to talk about mentorship and being your agent.
Yeah.
Take everything to the next level.
Let's go, buddy. Let's do it, buddy. All right, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Love you, man. Love you, man. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Back Points today. If you want to support the show, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you find the show. Also, it helps us if you give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Feel free to also make a donation via Patreon at patreon.com/backpoints. Thanks, and see you next episode.